A fulfilled life using science and spirituality. The title seems more serious than it is. Happiness cannot be serious stuff. So we begin with this exercise where you have a word search game, and you try and find some words that give you happiness and joy in day-to-day life. Small pleasures. Some of them can be more profound. And just in case you're struggling, there are some hints on the back side of the page. Can you just So we take about 3 to 5 minutes to work on this puzzle, and then we begin.
That's it, right? And we just Oh, we just started. No.
I mean, some challenges good in life, but just in case you're struggling, remember it's not serious. You can get them help from the hints.
These things are kids. Couldn't see anybody. You can give us more than three.
The key thing want to forget.
Oh, you get it.
Very much.
Don't see what it works. Only this is pretty strong, huh? I can't do this down.
And you surprise ourselves.
Eating quick making happy.
Okay, I guess we could begin. So let's begin with some of the words that you found, and most importantly, the ones that give you, out of which you found, the ones that give you the most amount of joy. So we begin with Ananya.
So I found music.
Okay.
I found pet.
Uh-huh.
These are more.
Which do you think is the most meaningful to you?
I think pet.
Okay. Right. So we go on doing this. We talk about the words that we found and which one are the most meaningful to us personally.
I found thoughtfulness, evenings, hugs, reflections, reminders, see, conversations,
Wow. Okay.
and hugs and evenings.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What would be better than that?
The combination.
Much evening,
Evenings, yeah. Yeah.
getting to evenings from mornings while you're happy. Okay, Stephanie.
Actually, I did not find, I just found one word. I don't
Okay.
know, but I can't read the rest. It's conversation.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to find more.
Sure. What are the word is conversation? Your word is conversation?
Yes.
Jay?
Hugs, laughter, cozy, gratitude.
What's most meaningful to you?
Hugs, laughter.
The beautiful lady here, I'm sorry, I do not have your name.
Karina.
Sorry?
Karina.
Veena?
Karina.
Kavina? Where do you come from, Kavina?
It's a conversation. Pet, mind, tree, farm, room, hope,
Okay.
conversation.
That's a great score. What's most meaningful to you?
Peace.
Okay. Beautiful. Please.
I'm Nena.
Nena.
Give, hug, pet, see, conversation. Oh, I didn't know music.
Music.
I can hear.
Okay. Right, Anista.
So you just started, you just found conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
With Yeah, I am actually not wearing my glasses. I'm not able to read. I was not aware of this activity. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. One of the birds, my favorite bird from this list.
No.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. And that is nature, gratitude, okay, motivation,
Easy, just
conversation. These are my favorite words among all these words. Sure. Very nice. Say this up. I think we found one word only is hugs. Okay. Hugs seem to be a
very
lot.
complex one, yeah.
Okay, Mayur was not playing the game. Vikas, yes, please. Vikas. Pet, grow, hug, mind, conversation. Very nice. What is most meaningful to you? Conversation. Great. Joy.
Pet, hugs, my see, pick. In collaboration. I don't know why. Eating things make me happy.
Great. Lovely. Couple. Family and your.
I found pets laugh, hot, sea, hugs, mind, sunset, dancing, conversation.
Okay.
I feel the most important for me would be conversations, mind, and sunsets.
Beautiful.
I managed to find only conversations.
That's good.
That's
That
it.
fits. You found the best one.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good. Okay.
I find that hug and conversation.
Lovely. So what is most meaningful to you?
Pets
Very.
and conversation.
Conversations with pets, maybe. Yes. Okay.
I found pet, babies, hug, guide, reminder, theme,
Mhm.
roam, and combination.
Great. What is most meaningful to you? Lovely. Okay. So I think we are all warmed up enough to go ahead and start our discussion today. Are we?
Yes, sure.
Feeling good as we should? Feeling good as we should? Question mark? Great. What was the point of this exercise? Happiness?
Fine.
Reminding ourselves of the small pleasures in life. Yes, because living in present, living in present. Yes, I would not have thought of that, but yes, very much.
Waking us up.
Yeah, bringing you here, bringing you here, and also breaking the ice because let's make it a discussion. You know, it's not supposed to be a serious lecture because I do not identify myself as a very serious person. So, although, you know, this topic may be perceived, you know, because there's the word spirituality here, it may be perceived as heavy, but we're going to make it a fun discussion. But at the same time, that does not mean we would not be taking back some insights from today. I'm hoping that by the time we leave this room in another 90 minutes or so, you would have some sort of a personalized happiness blueprint where you would know what your areas of strength are and which areas need more. So if you look at the other paper, the other print that you have, now you can keep that on top and you can complete the game when we finish. Now this is going to be a worksheet for the rest of the workshop today. Whenever you identify a point which is meaningful to you in either of the senses, that is, you feel it is your area of strength, or it is an area that needs work, take a note, right? And this process can go on along the side as we speak. Is that clear? And then you would also come across some points which are not really falling in any of these categories, but they rather fall into the other category, which is other insights. So some other points that you feel worthy of taking a note. So this is for your use. And what else? What are we up to today? We are up to realizing that us humans are dumb and very smart at the same time. We will see why I'm saying that. When it comes to happiness specifically, we have some biases which do not really let us reach the maximum potential of fulfillment, which we would reach if we are aware of those biases. So we will be talking of those biases. Other than that, we would like to bring back some insights that you already have. I mean, the reason I say the humans are smart is that because all of us already kind of sort of in a not very clear way, but we know what makes us happy. don't we? Don't we? We have that insight kind of built into us. But what happens a lot of times is these insights either get lost or they get buried under layers of conditioning or life happens and then we forget about them. So the idea today is bring back the insights that you already have, by the way. So most of the stuff that we will talk about is not going to be super mind-blowing, super new, but it's definitely going to be something that you may have forgotten about. So bringing it back to the surface of the consciousness is one of the agendas today. And as soon as you find something like that, it would help if you take note in the other insights. Oh, that, yes, I know this. Yes, at some point of time, I was working with this, but as of today, I have forgotten it. So, so it's great to have a reminder and bring it to your consciousness. Develop more curiosity about and get more in touch with our emotions. So one of the ideas when you walk out of this room today is that some of this awareness that we would develop here stays with you. And you carry this awareness with you and you are more in touch with your emotions while you walk out of the room. And that keeps bringing you back to this. All right, so that's one of the purposes today. Create a personal happiness blueprint. That's what you have right there. So it'd be noting down, as I said, your areas of strength and your areas that need work. And let's make it a discussion instead of a boring lecture. And let's make it fun. So, sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are we together on this?
Yeah.
Yes? All right. Are we having fun so far?
Yeah.
Who really am I to be speaking on any of that? So before my software update happened, I used to be a tech entrepreneur who was taking myself and my life too seriously. I try not to do that anymore. And after the software update in the current version, I am just another, I don't know who wrote it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was done by my assistant. Sorry about that. Although it's not factually incorrect. We can roll with that. मैंने couple को दिया था इन्होंने. That's what we mean about it. So yeah, I'm just another dude who likes to think about this stuff. So like I have stopped taking myself too seriously. I request you also not to take me too seriously. We're just having fun today and trying to learn something along the way. Are we together on this?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yeah, and also, fun fact, I like to use the same profile picture everywhere because I only have one good picture of myself. Right, okay. Let's have a pop quiz. Which of the two scenarios do you think will lead to more happiness? Winning a small lottery of $528 million or getting into an accident?
$1 million.
Okay.
Probably the money first.
Okay. We can deal with the accident later. All right. Okay, you think the accident would lead to more
If
happiness?
you survive, yeah.
Right, in the end, I think when you got something that is terrible, there's always like a big
Yeah.
money
Mhm.
afterwards. So I think,
Right.
yeah.
That's a very interesting perspective. Did we all catch that?
Yeah.
Bad things make the best stories, I think.
Yeah. That things lead to.
Depends on the
That's true.
accident, actually.
It does, actually. It does,
If you don't have money and have a big accident,
yeah. But at the same time, this is a contrarian, but a very interesting perspective. And we need this kind of contrast in life to really be able to appreciate it. So for all of us who said this would lead to more happiness, I guess you were not that wrong. After all, you passed because lottery winners report after 1 year higher levels of. I'm just kidding. Actually, this is the real gap.
Oh.
So after 1 year has passed, some very serious accidents, paraplegics, and some very serious lottery winners, big lottery winners, after 1 year has passed, both of them report the same level of happiness 1 year down the line. Surprising,
yeah.
but true. And this is scientific. It's a scientific study. After our session is done today, for those who are interested, I could share links to all these studies. This is not a graph that I made up. although I can do that, but not this one. I may have made some other graph up along the way.
I can vouch for that. I'm the one who put it in.
Right, good one. So, this is surprising. This was the first time I came across this fact was mind-boggling because these two are the very extreme situations of human experience. Winning a lottery versus getting into an accident where you go paraplegic. That's the worst that you can imagine can happen in an accident. But I repeat, 1 year down the line, the levels of happiness reported were the same. So, if that was not, we have another pop quiz for you. Would you prefer having more or less options or choices in life?
Yes.
Left, I think now.
Okay, okay. The students have gotten smarter. Right. Right. Okay. Anyone who would like to have more options? Okay, right. I cannot blame you. Who wants a bigger menu at a restaurant than a small menu?
What can I book about beverage? Thank you for the thing.
So have the biggest menu possible and then go for the usual. Or french fries. So if you like a bigger menu, then you cannot really say that you would like to choose less options. You would. Yeah. Okay, negative emotions destroy happiness. True or false?
Well, in the timing, true, yeah.
It's a tricky quiz. Seems like. Okay, would you like to make slow or fast progress if the goals remain the same?
Fast. Fast. Fast.
Jake.
Faster.
Fast. Slow.
Yeah, slow.
Okay. Mayur is not happy with Anisa's response.
No, we both said slow.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we both
Okay.
said
Sorry.
No, I was expecting fast from you so that I can be slow.
Okay, money can buy happiness. True or false?
Very true. Yeah,
The house seems to be fairly divided, equally divided. Jake. True. Jake is an expert at buying happiness with money, so we could actually, yours could be the next step. How to buy happiness with money. Okay. Well, again, science found that more options beyond a point rob us of the happiness. Negative emotions from time to time create the necessary contrast to experience happiness. Slow and consistent progress towards goals is more conducive to happiness than rapid growth. And money can actually buy happiness. Stay tuned for how. Right? So, this is what science found. And as we progress further in today's session, we would also have more explanation on why this happens to be true. Good enough? Are we enjoying it?
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. The point is, yeah, so that was my question. What in the blazes is happening here? The problem is that evolution has designed us to optimize for survival and reproduction, but not to optimize for happiness. So we have a lot of biases, cognitive biases. We have a lot of ways of looking at things, emotions also. You know, some emotions like jealousy, hatred, anger, which have been given to us by evolution for the purpose of survival. I mean, you survive better if you are jealous of somebody else who's getting more resources, or if you have anger at the right times. But just so happens that survival and happy survival are two slightly different things. And now that we have been programmed to optimize for survival, and that sometimes is antithetical and in contradiction with happiness, what do we do? What we do is we use a part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational brain, and override the amygdala or the reptilian brain so that we can go past those biases and optimize our life in a way which is more conducive to happiness. Correct? Are we together on this? So this man right here, Keanu Reeves, great fan of his acting, great fan of all the work that he does. But he also has some interesting, I would say, ideas about what a good day is. Okay, before we go to Keanu Reeves, what's a good day for you? Anyone? Like, yeah.
Well, and generally, a good day for me is waking up with a nervous system that's quite relaxed and is not expecting much,
Mhm.
or waking up and have plans which serve me and my happiness. So it's very individual, I think. But not having stress is a good day.
Great. Not having stress is a good day. Anybody else would like to pop in? What's a good day for you?
Good day for me is having a slow morning, not rushing through, having time to myself, and then socializing as well. Both are equally important to me,
Very good.
but with people who fit my vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
Couple? Good day for you.
Something similar, in fact, having a quiet morning, having a productive day, but then being able to wind after a productive day, preferably with friends.
I guess all of you happen to be smarter than Keanu because this was Keanu's response. I hope you are.
Exactly. Great breakfast, go for a motorcycle ride, come back, swim, have more sex, eat some more, hang out for a little bit, maybe do some reading, go see a movie, have more sex, go to the bar, have a couple of drinks, see some friends, take a motorcycle ride, get home, hang out a little bit, have more sex. That's a pretty good day. Have some morning sex, eat a great breakfast, go.
Okay,
What's your sex addict or something?
he's a great guy, otherwise.
Yeah.
But we have our ideas which are a little removed from the reality. The reason I say that is I cannot argue that would not be a good day, that could be a good day. But if we keep stacking one good day over another infinitely, then that makes for a sad life, unfortunately. And this is counterintuitive. So at this point, I think it would be nice to take a note that evolution optimizes for survival, not for happiness. And that's why we have these biases which we need to overcome. And how do we overcome these biases? We follow them. So,
Can you repeat that?
yeah, evolution optimizes for survival, not for happiness. And hence we have some biases. And to be able to be consistently happy, we need to be aware of those biases and overcome. Okay, right. So what's happening here? Let's try and understand what exactly is going on under the hood. Are we familiar? Is any of us familiar with this term, hedonic adaptation or hedonic treadmill?
Is it like hedonistic? No.
Hedonia is the one term, and out of hedonia comes the concept of hedonic adaptation. It's very simple, sounds fancy, but very simply put, it is that if we indulge in hedonic pleasures of any kind, we're talking great food, again, a motorcycle ride, great friendships even, more sex, as Jan says, or any luxury in life. Let's say you are earning X dollars and now you suddenly start earning 2X on a consistent basis. I'm talking fancy restaurants, all of that. there is a feature in the human brain. Neuroscience says that whatever happens in our life, that has a very short lasting impact on our baseline level of happiness. It goes up a little bit for a little bit, and then it comes back down to the baseline. That's clear? That's a fancy name for the same phenomenon. So something good happens, you fall into love, you fall in love, a new relationship begins, and your happiness goes up a few notches.
Yeah.
And within a matter of a few weeks to a few months, it would come down. And that's exactly what happened with the lottery winner, by the way. The lottery was won, there was ecstasy for a period of time. And after an year, the baseline, the happiness levels had returned to the baseline. Now, I say it's a feature, it's not a bug. It may seem like a bug because every time you constantly have to chase, in that case, pursue newer sources of happiness. But the reason I say it's a feature and not a bug is because it also holds true in cases of bad stuff happening. You go through a breakup, into an accident, you lose some money, the business falls apart, an adverse diagnosis on the medical side, your happiness levels would dip. But then, because of this feature, they will again come back to the baseline. So hedonic adaptation is basically a gift given to us by evolution again, that our neural pathways are very capable of adjusting to new stimuli in either direction. And that is what keeps us sane, actually.
Mean reversion.
Reversion to the mean, yes. So, if we start understanding that all of us are susceptible to this, our next question would be, what would be the next question?
Then how to prolong the happiness and reduce the amount of time spent in it?
Yeah. So one question to ask could be that if my happiness is going up like that and then coming down, is it possible to increase the period of the time that happiness is felt? That's one question to be asked. Another question to be asked is, if my happiness is returning to the baseline,
Can I create my baseline?
where is my baseline?
Yeah.
Is my baseline here? Is it here? And wherever it is, can I take it further up?
Yeah.
Can I increase my baseline? I think that's a more meaningful question to ask.
Yeah. Or because I came back from your question, can we stay at the baseline no matter what?
Yeah, equanimity. I mean, we'll actually be coming to that. Equanimity is a great gift that we can cultivate. When we start cultivating that, the baseline goes up and we stay around the baseline no matter what happens. You know, something good happens, you're equanimous. Something bad happens, you're still equanimous. And Vipassana is all about learning that. So,
But won't that get boring?
yeah, that's an argument to be made. Whenever we talk
Everything is
about,
up and down, so. we get-
yeah, whenever we talk about equanimity, a lot of times this question is asked, is it human to be equanimous? And it's a valid question. And the answer would be personal to all of us. In my definition, equanimity has really given me the gift of contentment, which we'll be coming to later. So it works for me, but I feel it is not something that can be forced. It is cultivated by itself in a natural way, slowly along as we go along life. So, and Vipassana can be a great practice to help with that. Yeah. So we understand this, yes? Do we have any questions here? Okay, then, yeah, yes, please.
Can we reduce or eliminate the downfall?
Unfortunately, not unless we are Olympic meditators or monks. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's not the path that most of us are on as of today. Our lives may slowly be leading us there, or lifetimes, possibly. But as of today, it's very impractical to really expect that, and with an adverse medical diagnosis, for example, you would not be shaken for a moment even. How long would you be shaken? Yes, that is something that we can work upon. I mean, I have examples, personal examples in my family. My aunt happens to be really, like, not pseudo, but really a deeply spiritual person. And she was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. But I'm really impressed and I admire the tenacity and yeah, just her ability to really stay venomous in face of such a diagnosis. Most of us, I will not be venomous. So the answer to your question is yes, not easy. Yeah. But that's a great strategy if we can have our North Star as that. And in the later part of the conversation, we would actually touch.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
Is the baseline happiness for everybody set?
No. No, that's the interesting fun part. We can work on the baseline. We can work on taking the baseline up. And sometimes if we are not careful, the baseline would go down. But wherever our baseline is, up or down, we keep coming back to it.
And who is responsible for setting, who is accountable for setting the baseline?
Okay, so scientifically, studies have shown that 50% of our baseline, where our baseline would be, is unfortunately or fortunately genetic. But the rest of the 50% we can work upon. And that's a great lead. 50% is more than enough to work.
The baseline is
So there are two
genetic,
factors.
50% of it.
Scientifically,
but there can be very bad news then, no?
depends. If your parents were very happy people, then you've got a gift. But if not, then you have the rest of the 50% to work with.
So there are
Yeah.
two factors.
Yes.
One is genetic, and then
Another is under our control.
adaptability, adapt or something.
We'll be talking how to increase the baseline.
But then also, because of your thing, what you said, if there is like 50% of your parents, then there's also the question of the proof what their baseline was before they might have trauma and all this stuff. So it's how to find out.
I mean, generational trauma is very real. This is yet another proof of generational trauma being real. You know, it's what you are today is not just a byproduct of your own life, but it's
Yeah.
also a byproduct of what had happened to your great grandparents, maybe 500, 600 years ago. So that's the good and the bad news at the same time. But we would rather focus on the rest of the 50% that we can work with and see how we can tweak our baseline and take it higher. Right? Sounds good?
Also,
Yes, please.
does the baseline rise or fall with age?
Okay, so
That's a
there-
midlife crisis.
Yeah.
talking.
That's a very interesting question. That was actually not a part of the that was not a part of the conversation today, but it's such a good question that I can touch upon it. The usual curve is for the baseline to go like that. So when you are very young, the baseline is high. In the middle height, the baseline comes down. When you grow, the baseline.
There you go.
Only up from now.
Yeah. Great news. As a middle-aged person,
How,
You know.
how long will you live? Like to live so you can divide the curve.
so it's a U-shaped curve. But great question, by the way.
So you mean the difference in 30s and 40s?
Midlife.
Midlife?
It depends on age.
No.
Yeah. But great news, if you can manipulate or manage your baseline at this level, then as Mayur said, it's only
Okay.
up from here.
How to manipulate?
Yes, let's go to that. Okay, we also touched upon the paradox of choice earlier. And that's again another scientifically proven study. It was an experiment done at Harvard University. Many experiments, but this is a fun one, where there were two sets of students and they were enrolled in a photography workshop. And one set was given a choice to pick one photograph, but they were also told that you can change it within a week. You can come back, give it back, pick another one, and change it within a week. And the other group was not given that option. They were only asked to pick one, and that was their final group. So within the next week, the reported levels of happiness with their choice was remarkably lower in the group which was given the choice to change it, and remarkably higher in the group which did not have the choice to change it. So contrary to what we believe, a bigger menu is better than a smaller menu.
Arranged marriages are better than love marriages.
It's great for the restaurant, not for our happiness. Sometimes it's not even great for the restaurant because the customers get so confused.
Yeah.
in picking the right choice,
You are making or you have?
sometimes we get so confused when picking the right choice that we end up making no choice and walking out to another restaurant. That happens. Rarely though, but that does happen. But that happens, so in the case of a restaurant, not as much. But for example, if you run a business where people are not coming to your establishment, but making a choice, for example, looking at the plans on your website, which happens a lot. If you end up giving too many options, too many plans, too many choices, Galaxy S23 Ultra, Ultra Plus, Pro Max, Ultra Pro Max, whatever,
iPhone, yeah.
then that ends up confusing the customers a lot. And sometimes customers end up choosing another brand rather than making that choice. So for entrepreneurs around here, take note, more choice for customers always is not a better idea than less choice. If any,
But it depends on customer to customer.
it also depends business to business, but as a general.
This is about higher probability, that's all.
Okay, cool then. So now what? Are we stuck to the baseline? Like, are we stuck to the baseline? The answer is, wow. The answer is, are we stuck to the baseline? We already answered it. We are not stuck to the baseline. There are ways and methods to bring our baseline up. I mean, we still are stuck to the baseline, but the baseline can be moved, right? So we kind of still are stuck to this beach bed or pool bed, but the bed has beach. It can be moved around, right? Are we excited?
Yeah.
To check out the methods?
Which,
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Okay, to your surprise, the knowledge that is to come from here is knowledge that we already have. Right? What will follow from here is not something new, but the idea is to bring it back to our consciousness. And now is a good time to start noting which are your areas of strength and which are not.
Also, we are acknowledging the knowledge we have already.
Very much all of us are fully equipped to be happy, but sometimes we need that bubbling up to the surface of consciousness for that to really work in practice. All right, moving ahead, the baseline movers supported by science, baby. The biggest one.
Oh.
The biggest one comes first, relationships and connections. I mean, meaningful community engagement, engaging with the right people who resonate with you, having meaningful connections, relationships, romantic relationships, non-romantic relationships is the biggest baseline mover, the strongest baseline mover. And all of these baseline movers are supported by science. This is supported by a Harvard happiness study.
yes, I'll use that to pitch Nomad Now to people.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'll link that post.
So this is the baseline mover, these things can move it.
Below us, prefer.
Yeah.
Down as well. If you're not doing great in
Yeah.
these areas, then we can screw with your baseline levels. Got to be very careful of it. Because this is a very high impact area. And because it is so high impact, we need to be all more careful with this. Right? So for us, does it fall in our area of strength? Does it fall in an area which needs more work? We can make that discernment.
Is that mean that the baseline movers are not the plans and the success stories?
Not always. I mean, success is
The interest you do every day.
no, that's very much there. We'll be coming to more baseline moves.
So these are
This is
the,
first one.
this is the factor analysis, right? This
These
factor
are
has the
factor
more
analysis
weightage.
plus this is, as I said, the biggest baseline mover, but not the only one.
Yeah.
The major.
Number one.
Yeah, so we'll be coming to more of them later in the presentation. There was a study, the study is still going on. So in 1938, Harvard University picked up a group of people, 700 and some people, from all stratas of society. And every few months, they go back to them and assess in great detail their happiness levels. Some of the participants of the study have gone on to become the presidents of the United States as well. One of them was a president, but they come from all stratas of society. So every 6 months or so, the researchers from the university go back to them, all of them, and check on their happiness levels in great detail. And the study has now been going on for all these years with their children, with their grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So that long a study with that many people, with that in-depth analysis, has come out to this being the biggest conclusion.
And this is after considering the impact of more isolated lives because of technology and all that, right?
Yes, yes. Because the study still goes on. And it is now the methods of that study are so sophisticated that they are even doing genetic analysis on the participants. So their gene mapping happens every year, and if some epigenetic changes have happened from year to year, those are also taken into account. Some mRNA changes have happened, also taken into account. So this is a very detailed, in-depth, long-standing, big sample size study, as good as a study can get. And their biggest conclusion is this. Cool. So it is not just a feel-good thing, it's also a big determinant of where our baseline would lie. Sounds good? Yeah. Are you excited to move to the next one? Yeah, baby. Okay. Consciously limiting choices. Rather than wanting more choices, wanting fewer of them. Or in other words, decisiveness. So if some of us struggle with indecision, that can be one great area to work upon. Because if we are able to make some improvements in that, fix that, that would directly impact our baseline levels of happiness. Indecision or decisiveness. So moving from indecision towards decisiveness is one great contributor to moving our baseline further up. And a beautiful example here that all of us, most of us can relate to is dating apps.
Where do you get this example from? Who's dating app each
I have a friend, her name starts with A, ends at A, something like Asha. Big fan of, big user of dating app. Not a very happy user. Right. So consciously limiting choices is another big mover of the baseline in a better direction. All of these slides can be full-fledged sessions in themselves because we now know that we got to be more decisive, move from indecisiveness to decisiveness, but how? That how can be the topic of a whole different session. Anisa can take note, but she's outdoors.
Yeah, I've taken the note.
Okay. Right. This one, again, classic. We know about it. Everyone has been talking about it. But it's, yeah, Anisa, so we were saying each of these slides is a whole session in themselves because we were talking about moving from indecisiveness to decisiveness. But how? You know, so the how could be a topic of further discussion at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So this one is a classic.
How to achieve more with less number of dating apps.
Yeah.
Stop swiping.
Yeah.
And talk more.
Change the swipe from left to right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I don't think this needs much explanation. This is something that we all know, but we tend to forget. But this is a big, big impact on your moving your baseline support.
But some sort of specific sort of physical activity actually is against good sleep. So what about that?
Yeah, of course, we got to have that discernment that.
What is that against good sleep?
Well, some sort of physical
Oh,
activity done at the wrong time of the day slash night.
Night for them.
So Mayur is onto something here.
Mayur, I met 3 of your babies.
Back from the first
Yeah.
He's back from the first one. So I guess, yeah, because we met 3 of your babies, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
Right. So we'll quickly move on because this does not need much explanation, but just know that this is a huge area of impact. And this would do wonders to moving your baseline in a positive direction. All right. Okay. Yeah, this is the juicy one.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That does not include diet? That's a different.
No, I mean, good physical health, I should have written regular physical activity plus overall good physical health.
Oh.
Diet is very much about it. I'm like sad to break the news to you. But yeah, I mean, all good physical habits.
Okay.
Right, this is a very juicy one. And this is often, I would say, ignored one. because we really do not take very much this into account. We're so busy with our work, life, everything else, sometimes also relationships or fixing them, that we forget that we have a life of our own which needs a purpose of its own. And the purpose could not be, should not be, would not be just making another person happy. Could be a relationship, could be a romantic relationship, could be a friend's family. You've got to have a very internal, centered locus of purpose within you. To my mind, this is as important as having great relationships. Because I wrote here, it's powerful enough to counter lack in other areas. If some of our other areas are lacking, but this is super strong, it is so powerful that it can really counter that lack in other areas.
And I think, I consider purpose to be the relationship with yourself, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, constantly working on that relationship, improving it. Self-awareness very much is a part of it. And everything that we would like to imbibe within ourselves is also very much a part of our purpose. Equanimity, for example. So, but this is easier said than done. Let's be honest. In the apadhapi of life, to really get in touch with the real purpose of our soul is not an easy task. And that's why I say this is an area where if we have not started working yet, all of us must. The entire humanity must start working in this direction. Because this would not just make you happier, but this has a huge ripple effect. That moves
So
up.
I strongly believe that.
Yeah,
And I follow this.
beautiful.
Super follow this every time.
Beautiful. Lovely. So it is central to fulfillment.
Please,
And it is also, remember, it is more than, more satisfying than, having achievements in areas of life that do not really resonate with you or do not really matter to you as much. So, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I thought you had a question.
No, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it necessary to have like a major meaning? Can it be like a hobby?
Oh, very much. It doesn't have to be changing the world. It doesn't have to be being any of it. Yeah, that just speaks to the parallel.
Like that like scientific study, even in the school.
Okay.
Very meaningful. I think so too.
Short term.
Yeah, I'll give you water.
Benjamin.
Then
Is it a bad thing that I only have areas that I need to work on?
No.
And nothing in my areas of
What
strength?
that means is,
Yeah.
what that means is there is so much higher that your baseline can go.
Thanks.
Think about it. So if you're
But I'm
already,
glad that the top one is in my strength. Community, yeah, friendships.
Yeah, can you?
Where did Kapil go?
meanwhile, there's time and more.
yes, absolutely. There always is.
Is there a difference between purposes on the means of happiness?
Is there a difference between purposes as the means of happiness?
Yes, like does contributing to the well-being of others or the just ingenuity of creative ideas.
That's a great question again. So as Mayur, for example, mentioned, having a better relationship with yourself can also be a purpose. But at the same time, if you are fortunate enough to have your purpose tied to a greater good, that ties into another points that we are coming to. So that would kill two birds with the same stone. You will be living a life of purpose while doing greater good, and that greater good would come back to increase your level of faith and happiness. So that is
Nice.
Just to complete. But great question. Okay, you think we can move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. But this is, remember, alongside relationships, having a purpose, having a life of purpose, having your given as sarthak. Is it?
Is that your real name?
No, that's my stage name. No, that's my Osho sannyas.
No, but Sarthak is your.
Sarthak is my real name. Jeevan Sarthak is my Osho sannyas.
Yeah, I thought you are a LIC policy.
Some people have asked if I am a brand ambassador of jeevansarthi.com. Okay. Yes, so this is a big one. Consistent meditation practice, and surprise, now it is supported by science too. So it is not something that just the ancient sages and the yogis and the monks were talking about in vain. Science now has gotten to a point where science has started understanding the value in meditation. So far. So far. Okay, so the detail on this is yet to come in another part of the discussion. So we'll move on. I mean, at one point of time, it's not too long ago, about 20 years ago or 15 even, there was no scientific evidence for meditation really working for any purpose whatsoever. But we knew it all along. I mean, our tradition has known it all along. But now there is also scientifically validated evidence. So that kind of also appeals to people who think more with the head than the heart, people like myself always. So this is very encouraging for me personally. Okay. Also supported by science. There are scientific studies now which have studied the impact of gratitude on our baseline happiness levels. There is a direct, very strong correlation. Having a sense of gratitude in our life is a strong predictor of where our baseline would lie. And in that sense, gratitude journaling is really a solid practice. So any of us, all of us, few of us, whoever are into gratitude journaling, are really doing yourselves a favor. I'm talking about again Asha. She has this thick journal where I really admire her for this. She journals every day in a very pretty, beautiful way. So we could all learn something from that. From
Areas of strength.
areas of strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We all understand what gratitude journaling is, yes? I mean, taking notes of small things that we are grateful about in life and going back to them. So, just in case that was not clear.
Can I ask about it?
Yes, please.
Can it be manufactured like on purpose, mechanically, technically, just making, I'd say objectively good things like having a healthy body and a house, or does it have to resonate?
So a healthy mix is required because sometimes, some days are such where we cannot really find something that deeply resonates with us. On those days, we can always go back to the basics and take some help, assistance. But there is a concept called synthesized or synthetic happiness. And it's as real as non-synthetic or natural or real happiness. So it can be synthesized if that was the question. Yeah. Okay. This is such a beautiful one. I mean, this is the one that really resonates very deeply with me personally. And this is the doing a really selfless, like really is the keyword, selfless is the keyword for it, really selfless service, where you have zero, absolutely zero agenda. If we can bring ourselves, and it's a matter of practice, if we can bring ourselves to a point where it becomes our second nature, a huge increase in your baseline levels of satisfaction and happiness, like tremendous. But a lot of times, let's be real with each other. We are all humans. We may believe that this act that I did was selfless, but not quite. There can be agendas that we are ourselves not aware of. So that is something to be mindful of, and aware of, and careful about. Truly selfless service. And I have a beautiful video that I want to end this presentation with after, that is in this video. Right? I mean, practical examples would mean volunteering, volunteering, giving to the
Seva.
causes. Seva. In our tradition, it's always been there. Seva is, for our foreign friends, is a Sanskrit word, also a Hindi word, which basically exactly translates to selfless service. Great. Anti-multitasking. In our modern times, we are big fans and sometimes very proud of multitasking, but the more present we can be, I'm sure we've heard of this term called the flow state. The more time we can spend in the flow state is also related to this one, making progress on meaningful goals. When we have a purpose that's strong, it's so effortless to go into flow states. And the more time we can spend in flow state in our life, the higher slowly our baseline moves. And while we are in the flow state, that is blissful. And that's as good as almost as good as Keanu's preferences. Okay. So anti-multitasking, get that sweet flow state going as often as possible. Right? Is it useful so far?
Yeah.
Minimalism.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about something that's very personally relatable and very relevant to your recent experience. I got to be more mindful.
Behind the, I just put it there because it's in the back.
I guess I need some meditation.
But this is minimalism, right? We are getting rid of the screen.
Yeah, it's a great example. Actually, that was on purpose.
Yeah. I don't need it.
Yeah, minimalism. Less is more. By the time it comes back, I can talk about the personal example that I was talking about. So I had the great fortune of being at Vipassana twice so far. And those 20 days, 10 plus 10, in terms of my lifestyle, were the simplest days of my life. A very basic bed, very basic mattress, very small room, clean but small, and a small restroom. And of course, you know how Vipassana goes. No speaking, blah, 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 no gadgets. The most minimalist time of my life. If we have to put a dollar value to that lifestyle, the dollar value would probably come out to $150 a month in a country like India. I can live that lifestyle, anyone can live that lifestyle in $150 a month in a country like India. Is that not so? But despite that being the case, those were the most blissful, satisfying, awesome days of my life. So there is something to be said about minimalism here. And it does not come naturally or easy to all of us, but it is definitely something that we could use more of in our lives and life.
What is that is the meaning of minimalism?
Doing more with less, being satisfied with that. It's a matter of practice. It takes conscious effort, practice.
A lot.
But once you cultivate it to any degree, it just gives you that amount of liberation also in your head and mind. Now also at a very practical level, knowing that you can be happy with $150 a month is very liberating. Then a lot of decisions that we make for money in our life would not be made. We would be freed of that pressure. Because we know that money is not moving the needle a lot. I mean, not to preach like a super minimalist, I still have Galaxy S23. I cannot be talking of being a hyper minimalist. But the fact remains that once you have experienced that level of minimalism and happiness that comes with it, it is greatly liberating. Your decisions would not be influenced by money. Your lifestyle would be drastically different. You would just feel way less encumbered by stuff.
And I think it also connects back to decision fatigue, right?
Oh yes, very much, very much. I mean, I know now if I'm doing something formal, I will wear this kurta. Other days I'll wear my black stuff. Got me the pant in black the other day. In my mornings, I'll wear my green stuff, so much easier. And if it's raining, I'll wear my blue jacket.
Eggs for the breakfast.
But eat eggs for the breakfast.
Fully casual.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about this, there's a show on Netflix
Yes,
on minimalism.
it's a documentary,
Yeah.
documentary by Matt Javella.
Yeah,
And
it has everything actually, pretty much. Minimalism.
a very minimalist. Okay, I realize that we are also kind of already 75 minutes in. So I think I will have to cut out a big part of my discussion today to keep it within time. I'm going to move a little faster from here on.
We
Okay?
can have part 2 next Wednesday.
Sure, I mean,
No, we're leaving.
you can join online. I mean, there are two options. Either we cover the rest of it like quickly.
Yes, please.
But are you in a hurry? You have to run away?
I'm not in a hurry, but I would want to respect everyone's time because I said 90 minutes. I'm not in a hurry. I would be happy to continue next week or just try and cover everything today. We'll see.
Okay.
That's okay. Seeking meaningful discomfort. There's a poem by Khalil Gibran, and it speaks about sadness. And in a very poetic way, it says, sadness is the knife with which the cup of happiness is carved. So in the darkest times of my life, that poem has become my anchor. That it is the knife of sadness that carves the cup of happiness. But other than sadness, seeking meaningful discomfort. Simple stuff like cold showers. Like sometimes sleeping on a hard surface. Whatever is meaningful to you, whatever you feel will add to your character, will build a stronger person out of you. Fasting is a great example. So anything that's meaningful to you and it is uncomfortable in a way that also leads to growth, seeking that regularly from time to time is
It's like hiking and trekking are also an example.
also that. Yes. Whatever you find out of your comfort zone.
So in Joy's case, she does farming, she learned carpentry
Yeah.
just out of.
Great, beautiful. You know, I'm somebody who has a very difficult time working with my hands because I've always, since I was a kid, worked with computers and typed. So I can work with my fingers, but not with my hands. I'm very clumsy, but fingers come in handy many times, though. But you know, for that, something like that for me would be putting myself in discomfort, learning something like carpentry, pottery, for that matter. So yeah, that's a very good example of meaningful discomfort. What I imbibe in my day-to-day life is cold showers, fasting, extreme physical activity sometimes, which you know it takes you out of breath, stuff like that, and that has always kind of I felt a very visceral increase in my baseline. Also right after that, but also on an ongoing basis. Cool. Learning something new. Neuroplasticity, engaging in a hobby. It could be a musical instrument, it could be, again, something that's meaningful to you. Doesn't have to be a serious pursuit, as long as you're making even tiny progress on a regular, consistent basis. Even a couple of hours every week is good. But one, great if it's meaningful to you. Two, great if you're doing it consistently. Three, great if you're seeing progress, because that really gives us a kick as humans. So, and also for great if it challenges you. Like I know some people who, for no practical purpose, are learning to write with their left hand while they are righties.
Me, okay.
Yeah, I try to brush.
Yeah. So that is a small but relevant example of trying to learn something new. Cool. So this again, you know, I keep repeating, supported by science, baby. Okay, and money actually can buy happiness. Jake, good news. If spent in some specific ways. For example, you can buy time with money. In India,
Yes.
I mean, I can go into the ethics of it. How ethical is it to hire house help and stuff like that? But even if you don't want to go there, Hiring virtual assistants. for example.
Delegation, basically.
Delegation, hiring
Yeah.
virtual assistants,
Automated.
buying time wherever you can, taking in some cases, walking has its own benefits, but in the interest of time, taking a cab instead, walking. When you have money and you're wondering, how do I buy happiness with money? These are your answers. I mean, it's possible in very real ways. If you are able to buy time, you can really use that time in very meaningful ways, right? Meaningful other ways. So I think this is a contrarian view, but it is a very practical, pragmatic, and real view of how things are. You can buy experiences. You can improve your living spaces. I am a big fan of living in decent living spaces. And I've noticed every time, because we spend so much time in our living spaces, that having decent ones, good ones, well, I'm the same person who's saying Vipassana was the best time of my life. But when I say improving living spaces, I do not mean adorning it with gold or gold-plated toilet seats or any of that, like a Dubai thing. What I mean is, having something that appeals to you. For example, in my room, again, something personal, you would always find an essential oil burner, for example. Because that is small, but meaningful use of money for me. It just improves my mood like 10x. So yeah, that.
And he has a lot of Buddhas. He
Yeah.
gives everyone. Whoever he meets in the room.
Yeah, buying gifts is a great way of how you can buy happiness with money. And that comes to giving it away, the last one. It's super powerful, this one. In form of gifts, in form of charity, philanthropy, whatever, fits the bill for you. I have become in recent times a big gifter. I mean, I'm just saying that so that it becomes personally relatable as to how I'm imbibing any of this in my personal life. So Asha is wondering when she's getting her gift.
My birthday is around the corner.
You are invited. Coming soon. Please add to your Amazon wish list, please. Another कुछ तो recommend. ये देख रहा था. हाँ.
Thanks, Anusha, for making us jealous.
Coming soon. Celebrating meaningful milestones. Whenever you raise the next round of funding, celebrate it. And spending on hobbies. So money can buy happiness is the crux of this slide. Is it fun?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us have, bunch of money, but sometimes not as much happiness. Sometimes it's possible to just buy it. Okay, so enough of science. We had enough scientific psychological perspective. The next part of our discussion talks about the philosophy of it, the philosophy of happiness. And then the next part would have spoken about the spirituality of it, but we'll see if we have enough time, right? Okay. Hedonia versus eudaimonia. This guy is a legend. I'm a big fan of him. Arthur Schopenhauer, a German philosopher coming from the beautiful land, Sydney. And he has stuff like this to say. There are two kinds of people in this world. Avoid both of them.
Love it.
No, this is a joke.
He looks quite happy.
Yeah. But Schopenhauer has some very interesting stuff to say about happiness. And his formula is very simple. For ultimate happiness in life, either become a monk or find your cheap thrills. What are these cheap thrills that he's talking about? Other than the CR song.
What means thrills? Cheap thrills.
I love cheap thrills.
But what does it mean?
What does it mean? Yeah, coming to that. Do you know of the song called Cheap Thrills?
Yes.
I don't need dollar bills to have fun tonight. So as catchy as that song is, it is also very philosophical.
Yeah.
In a way. Cheap thrills means it's great to have pleasure in
Tiny
life.
things that make you happy. So they want to swing.
It's very nice to have pleasures in life. Because if our baseline levels of happiness are not there, which is the case of the monk, their baseline levels of happiness are up there because we are not monks yet. Our baseline levels of happiness are here somewhere. So, is it so bad really to have those pleasures that give us those temporary hits? Is it a bad thing? No, if we choose them carefully. Cheap thrills is simple pleasures. Pleasures that are, yeah, pleasures that are easily available. Pleasure of sitting in a Ferrari, not as much, but the pleasure of going for a quiet walk, intellectual pleasures. I mean, we live in a time where there is endless intellectual stimulation available.
Yes,
I mean, you can go very deep into it and overdo it, yes.
like
But-
conversations are over.
Yeah. Cheap thrills,
Yeah.
simple pleasures. I was just being cheeky with this. Cheap
But
thrills.
over drugs and sex, like those cheap thrills are not good.
No.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, I meant
Yeah,
cheap thrills as a euphemism for it.
yeah.
Right? So there's these two terms, hedonia versus eudaimonia. This is what it is all about. Pleasure versus contentment. External versus internal. So having a fountain of joy within you is something that we hear about often. It is not a theoretical concept. If our baseline levels of happiness are somewhere higher, that's precisely what that means. Having an internal joy, fountain of joy. Hedonia is temporary, eudaimonia is enduring, long lasting. Hedonia has a very effervescent quality to it, in the moment and sparky, and that's all good. I mean, I'm not against hedonia personally, like out and out. We do ourselves a favor if we are not extremists in any direction. I mean, Buddha gave us the Madhya Marg for a reason. So hedonia is not all bad, but to understand and to identify and to be aware of what is hedonia and what is eudaimonia, that is something, that awareness is something that we can keep with ourselves and keep our direction kind of more in this direction than that, and indulge in that from time to time, but be more lenient towards that. This is like sitting on a roller coaster, and this is a slow moving train. And this needs constant vehicles, and this is like nurturing a tree, which continues to bear fruits forever or for a long time. Right? So this is a philosophical perspective on what happiness is, and also something to be aware of in our day-to-day, that whenever we feel happiness, pleasure, joy, it's a good question to ask ourselves, is this hedonistic or is this eudaimonistic? And can I inculcate more eudaimonia in my life than hedonia? It's a good benchmark to question our experiences upon. All right, moving on. How to cultivate eudaimonia? Like we spoke about how to move our baseline to a higher level, we can now talk about how to cultivate more eudaimonia in our life than hedonia. Hedonia we are all aware of, yeah, but this is where the spiritual perspective comes in. So let's start with a simple perspective shift. Our ancient Indian tradition has given us something called the Gyan Marg, other than the Karma Yoga, other than the Bhakti Yoga, other than the Gyan Yoga. So there is a very beautiful mark called the Gyan Marg, the path of wisdom. And in this context, I mean, path of wisdom is very vast, but in this context, it's very beautiful to remember that this is all a divine play, a Leela, Maya. You know about these concepts, I mean, we've heard of them. We've heard of the concept of Leela, Maya, but we forget. If you look at the cosmic scale of the universe, all of this is not even play. It's nothing. In the grand scheme of things, nothing really matters. And there is a very nihilistic view that we can take, that if nothing matters, then why are we continuing to live? But that's the point. But then there is a very beautiful other way to look at it. If nothing matters, then you can create meaning. Create meaning, play on the front foot. Don't be so afraid of judgments and what people would say and what would happen if I do this or that. What if my money runs out? It's all like,
Yeah, if there is nothing to lose,
yeah,
just have fun.
yeah, go on the front foot and छक्के मारो क्योंकि विकेट यहाँ अगर गिरती भी है नहीं गिरती है कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है ये गली क्रिकेट है और हम इसको इंडिया वर्सेस पाकिस्तान समझ के खेलते थे right? So in this context, one day in a moment of inspiration, I had written something. It's a short 2-minute thing. If you're so inclined, I could read it to you because I keep going back to it, and I find it very beautiful. So I was writing it to somebody. We had a discussion, and they said if you could send me a note which would remind me of this. So I thought of penning it down, some points from our conversation. Over the next few days, I'll be sharing some more nuggets. That was the idea. Reflect on each point for what it means to you. You may also want to keep coming back to it. Everything that we're noting today, we would want to keep coming back to it so that it stays on the surface. Eventually, though, it will become a natural part of your being. Whenever that happens, you will find yourself much more equipped to handle whatever life throws at you in a beautifully graceful and elegant manner. In due course of time, this light will spread further. You will go on to become a beacon of strength for people around you. Friends, family, and everyone around will find an anchor in you, which holds them steady in both stormy and sunny times. If you feel ready, let's get going. To begin with, remind yourself as often as you can of this life that we take so very seriously, all our triumphs and especially the tribulations that come with it, the highest highs and the lowest lows, all the love and the heartbreak, the success and the failure, the pleasures and the pain, every little problem, right from a misplaced phone charger to an adverse medical diagnosis. All of this is nothing but Leela, a divine play. And all of us, we are all here for an infinitesimally small amount of time to enjoy playing our role in this play. As uncomfortable as it may sound, the truth is that in the grand scheme of things, nothing at all matters. Although it's important to understand that it is not being said in a nihilistic way. Rather, the idea is for this realization to take all the weight off of our shoulders. Once you realize this, you start playing this game of life much more cheerfully, freely, and with much less attachment to the outcomes. That's also the central message of Bhagavad Gita Bible. It's like the difference between playing a gully cricket match compared to playing an India versus Pakistan game. The rules of the game remain the same, but just because the apparent importance of the outcome is different, the pressure that players experience is also worlds apart. Great players, however, approach an Indo-Pak game with the same attitude as they would approach a gully cricket match. So all of us are trying to or striving to become great players of this game of life. This attitude not only makes the game way more enjoyable, way less stressful for the player, but ironically also improves the outcome drastically. Not caring about the outcome actually ends up improving the outcome. Who would have thought? Our entire species, all our achievements, everyone we've loved and hated, all the progress that we've made collectively and individually, our entire life story. In fact, the entire story of an entire species resides on a very tiny speck of dust in the vast nothingness of this beautiful universe. We may think that any of this matters, while in reality, it does not. The day we realize the absurdity of our own existence, that day we are liberated from so much of pain and pressure that we inflict on our beautifully delicate selves for nothing. That day, you start playing this game of life on the front foot, not in a reckless way, but rather in a much more gleeful, cheerful, childlike way, much like how a child would play with a toy. The juice of life starts flowing and our entire existence becomes one huge celebration. Our souls will be here for lifetimes and lifetimes, maybe thousands of them. There's plenty of time, no rush. This specific lifetime will be done in a cosmic blink of an eye, Nothing has mattered, nothing would matter. Despite that, it is the most beautiful gift that our soul could have received. The least we can do is honor this gift in a graceful, humble manner with a heart full of love for the Creator and for the creations. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Long way to say like it. And let's remind ourselves of this.
Don't take yourself too
Too
seriously.
seriously, yeah. Like I was doing before my talk today. I was taking myself too seriously. Okay, and serendipity is also. We think we want to control stuff, but not really. Because
increased.
yeah,
Money increased.
eudaimonia increased, overflow तो नहीं हो गया. खत्म कर देंगे इसको, अगर overflow हो रहा है तो.
नहीं.
There was this guy who was to have a meeting, an appraisal meeting with his boss. And because suddenly his dad fell sick, he could not be in the meeting. And he thought that he has lost a chance at a promotion because his competitor was having that meeting with the boss. He was very sure that he would lose the promotion. And he was very mad about his father falling sick at the wrong time. Turns out, this day was September 11th, 2001, and his office was in the World Trade Center. We do not really control much. We have this illusion, but serendipity is all. So we could be in our perception, the shittiest of the place in our life. When and how it would turn around, and the reason why we are there, we do not know. It is divine. It is just so divine, and in such a beautiful way. So if that is the case, why fret? It's a game, and everything is not in our control. In fact, nothing is in our control. So let's just play, is the idea. Moving on. With this perspective in our minds, stillness is the fertile ground where contentment grows. This was coined by this great philosopher called Jeevan Sarthak. This afternoon, I was thinking of something and this came, so I just decided to put it in there. I think this is something that I'll keep coming back to. But stillness is the fertile ground where contentment grows. Can you elaborate? Yes. Have you ever had a very deep session of meditation, and right after that felt a deep sense of calm, peace, and stillness? Has that experience happened? Yeah. Okay. Always. जिसको हम, there's this term in Hindi which does not really have a direct translation. It's called ठहराव. ठहराव. Rough translation would be stillness. Like this moment. So if we can have more of this, this is a natural ground for contentment to really grow up. The more stillness we can experience in our day-to-day lives, you can assume or imagine, have a visualization that this plant called fulfillment or contentment is growing because it has that opportunity to grow. Stillness is like, as I said, a fertile ground, but to make it more visual, is like watering that plant. Is like adding manure to it. So the question is, if stillness is so cool, how do we cultivate stillness? So we answered how to increase our baseline levels. We answered how to cultivate eudaimonia. Now we try to answer how we cultivate stillness.
So stillness is stability.
Baseline happens? No, not really. Stability can be very boring. Stillness has a deeper quality to it.
So what is the difference between stability and stability?
Okay, so if I ask you,
The way you trying to explain.
yes, I'll try to. But if I ask you, explain sweetness to me, explain the sensation of sweet taste to me, the best way to explain it to me is put some sugar in my mouth or put some wood in my mouth. It's experiential. Stillness, I really cannot explain in words beyond saying that it is calmness. It is when nothing is moving and when your thoughts are very still, very calm. So in
Or
words,
rather thoughtless, right?
thoughtless, or a very like flow in an ECG machine or an EEG machine, when the person is dead, it's very still. So cultivating that quality without being dead, right? At a physiological level too. Right after a deep session of meditation, whenever I check my heart rate, it's usually in the range of 55. And in my day-to-day life, it is in the range of 65, 70, or in that range. So stillness at a physiological level, at a mental level, at an emotional level. And this is as far as the words will go.
Can I give him an example of
Sure,
stability?
absolutely, it's a discussion.
Stability versus stillness. If you have a partner in life, you're married, but is a very toxic partner, maybe you have the stability of having a partner, but not the stillness of having a good relationship.
Yeah.
But when you share, it's the same thing with your work. If you have a stable job that gives you stress constantly, maybe you have a stable job that gives you stable money, but you don't have stillness, you don't have peace in your job.
You would be constantly seeking out. And because you're constantly seeking out, despite having a stable job, that's a beautiful example, by the way, I might use it next time. So you have a stable job, great example. But because it is not fulfilling, there is no stillness in the sense that you're seeking out always. Same for the relationship.
Yeah.
But when you have a great job and a stable one, then that is also another ground for having stillness. And from that stillness, this contentment just grows. It's like the wildflower, which grows as soon as it finds fertile ground, and stillness is that fertile ground. So the idea is now how to grow stillness, how to cultivate stillness, so that we give contentment a fertile ground to grow. Right? Okay. There are thousands of meditation techniques that exist in the world. For every single purpose, there are some techniques which are more suitable than others. And for the purpose of cultivating stillness and specifically increasing baseline levels of happiness, again supported by science, these are some methods. I recommend now, because we are running short on time, you could take pictures of these slides, or I could share the slides with you. Because these slides explain, they tell you the name of it, in short, they explain you the technique, and also the exact mechanism of how it works. So that some of us, like myself, who have more of a problematic rational mind, they can see this and feel more motivated to practice it. Now, you do not have to practice all of them because there are a few of them, but you can make a combination based upon some trial and error. Like you could try this, and you could try the next one, and you could try the next one, and then see what resonates mostly to you. But these 4 or 5 techniques are the ones which are most effective at cultivating that stillness and cultivating that visceral contentment within us. Okay, can we move ahead? So, the good old mindfulness meditation, we are all, because this is the most common one, most popular one, we are aware of it. But something called loving kindness metta, that they teach at the end, Vipassana, is far more effective, far more powerful when it comes to cultivating happiness within ourselves. And the way it works again is explained here. So the idea was also to give some very practical methods and techniques, or to offer some very practical methods and techniques, and so that we have options, we can try them and pick the one that is most resonant with us. Okay. Gratitude meditation. Loving kindness and gratitude meditation are the 2 techniques which are, in my personal opinion, the biggest kind of bang for buck when it comes to cultivating happiness. The body scan meditation, similar to Vipassana. Mantra jap, or in English called the transcendental meditation. Yeah, I can come back to this has again been a part of our tradition for the longest time. And now we know how and why it works. So mantra jap, we've been doing it for like thousands of years. Then it became transcendental meditation by Mahesh Yogi, who took it to America. And now it comes back having scientifically validated that this really works for that purpose. Visualization meditation.
Yes.
If you are a more visual person, then this is something that would suit you or be more meaningful or would be more resonant for you. Right? And these were some meditation techniques that we could use to cultivate this quality of stillness and contentment in our day-to-day life. Everything said and done, if I have to summarize my personal experience of studying happiness as academically or as rigorously as I could for the last 6-7 years, my personal conclusion is this: the most reliable way to receive happiness is the willingness to give it first, selfless, without anything. And on that note, I would like to play another video. The video that I keep going back to. I find it deeply beautiful, satisfying, all the lovely words that you can imagine. This is just like, whenever I'm not in the best mood, I just go back to it and it's words like my day.
Battery 40%. See if we wire and always the message we open.
It's almost a 6-minute video. Do you want me to play it on double the speed? Or do you want to really separate it?
6 minutes is okay.
Yeah.
And we are towards the end of the video. Sometimes I live God, I'm breathing. Let I pray, don't take me soon, cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes my fears I drown, but I never let them down. So when negativity surrounds, I know I'm living alone around me, God. My life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that me, when the fight go on, tell me go on, and I still say one thing, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Oh no, we all knew when they beat us, Lord, that I ain't nothing. Blood church, keep on moving, though the one stay ready. This way, you get through your way. You way. In my job, you crazy, but don't let it put you nowhere. Nowhere. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down, So when negativity surrounds me, I know someday it'll all turn out because all my life I've waited for the people to say that me, when I fight no more, now we know one day it's gonna change, treat me with respect, stop with the violence, stop with the hate, whenever I'm free, I'm free, all of the steps, I'm singing songs of freedom like my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for, So that's pretty much it, actually. Just humans not knowing what they're doing here, and if they could just be looking for time to each other. That happens. Thank you. The floor is open to discussion and questions.
Thank you.
And celebrations.
Bye.
Glad you enjoyed it, whoever people are online or not here this morning.
Leave, no?
Yes.